guys, it's Shelly here. Welcome to my channel and thank you for joining me today. The book I have in front of me today is a book by Colorya and it's called Wonderful Little World Vol.II. And Colorya, the company, did contact me to request if I would share their book with you all on the channel. And I was more than happy to, because I don't own any of Colorya's books, but I had somehow come across this particular book at least maybe a year ago, or just under a year ago. And I must have seen a flip through or something about this book, but I could never find it on Amazon UK. And I remember liking the illustrations, thinking the illustrations were really cute. And I had heard that the books by Colorya have really good thick paper. But I could never find the book for some reason. I thought I found it on Amazon UK, but there were no reviews on it from the United Kingdom. It was not available for many months, and then I stopped looking. So when Colorya contacted me and they said it was this book that they wanted me to share on my channel, I was like, yes, of course, because I had come across this book and I was really interested actually in this book because of the illustrations. It's right up my street. And so I was really happy that they asked me to do this review. I think maybe this book was released previously in France, or a French edition, and that's maybe how I came across a few illustrations from it. But I couldn't find it anywhere else. But now it is available, and I will share the link that Colorya have provided for you to find the book if you are interested at all. I thought I'd chat about the book while I colour a page from this book, just so you can see how the mediums I use lay down on the paper, and it might give you a little idea of how the paper works really if you see me actually colouring on it. And I know there's a lot of flip-throughs out there already, so I'm sure you'll manage to find a flip-through. I've definitely added a flip-through as well. At the end of the video, you can watch a quick flip-through that I'll include in the video, so you can see all the other illustrations that are included in this book. Okay, so the book is a ring-bound book, which is wonderful, and it flips upwards, which means that the ring binding doesn't come in your way when you are colouring, because sometimes if it's on the left or the right side, left sides especially for left-handers and right side for right-handers, the ring binding would possibly come in the way when you're colouring, but this way you can lay it flat and colour really easily and it doesn't get in your way. So I think that is brilliant. The size of the book is, I would say, approximately a Creative Haven size in terms of the width of the book. But in terms of the length or the height of the book, I would say it's possibly about a couple of centimetres longer, plus you add on the couple more centimetres maybe for the ring binding. So basically a little bit taller. And the paper in the book is very thick. I wouldn't say it's paper, I'd say it's cardstock. So it's quite a good thickness of cardstock. Maybe not the thickest you can get. I would say like a medium cardstock. And it is white and it is a little bit smooth. I think it would be great for markers, for water-based or for alcohol markers because of how smooth it is. And yeah, I think you can use any of your mediums on it. So alcohol markers, pencils. You'd have to test your pencils depending on what pencils you use, but because it's smooth, so you'll have to see how you enjoy it with the particular pencils you tend to use. But yeah, I would think the alcohol markers and water-based markers would work wonderful on it. It's not watercolour paper, but because of the thickness of the paper, I would definitely say that you can use your watercolour paints sparingly, with not too much water on this paper, and it would work great. There are approximately 30 to 32 illustrations to colour. It's a really thick book because of how thick the paper is. And the illustrations are very cute. It reminds me sort of like the Nice Little Town books by Tatiana Bogema. So similar sort of theme to those books. And a great thing is it does sort of go through the season. So you will get some pages that are spring based or summer based, definitely some winter based, some lovely autumn based pages as well. So it's a wonderful book with lots of different scenes to colour, and definitely you can colour it through the season, which is great. Now you would think that I should choose a winter page to colour on screen at the moment while I'm chatting, but this page actually jumped out at me. I really enjoyed the large flowers that were on the page, so I decided that I'd just go for this page, even though we're not in that season. Somewhere in this world, people will be in their spring-summer season, so it will fit for some of you. Colorya does have quite a few books out, I think. I was trying to look through them. Like I said, I don't have any other of their books, but they do have some really great mandala books. And for me, the theme of this book was what I really enjoyed. So I was really happy that they requested me for this particular book. So if you've been watching my channel for any length of time now, you will know that I tend to use quite a limited number of colouring supplies. I enjoy them. I've learned how to use those particular supplies, and I just really have a blast when I colour my pages, knowing my colours or my mediums that I'm using very well. So I do colour this page using water-based markers, which are the Tombow dual brush pens, and I use my Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils, which are watercolour pencils, but I do use them as a combination of wet pencils as well as using them dry to see how they work on the paper, because like I said, the paper is smooth, so I did want to see how my pencils would work dry without basing with any other supplies. And yeah, I think they definitely work great. I'm very happy with how my pencils work. I think they've turned out really vibrant on this paper. I think they work brilliant dry without a base, and they worked wonderful activated with water. They blended really nicely, and I could also use them on top of the bases of my markers as well as the activated pencils. So with regards to the pencils, I'm happy with how they turned out, or how they worked on the paper. It was definitely a joy colouring on this paper with my pencils. And yes, I was able to get, if you see in certain areas, I do use quite a few layers of pencils, and I was able to layer up quite a lot, which I was a bit concerned about when I saw that the paper was smooth. I wasn't sure that it will work, but I used, for example, for the flowers, I used tons of layers, and also for the houses. And so yeah, I can definitely say that you can put down quite a few layers of pencils. With regards to the water-based markers, I'm happy with how they worked on the paper. One thing that did not work was trying to blend directly on the paper with two pens. So say I laid down a dark shade of a green and then trying to go over with a medium tone green marker or a light tone green marker, I couldn't blend out very well. Now, I don't think this would be the case with alcohol-based markers. I'm sure there'll be other colorists that will share that, because I don't own any alcohol-based markers, but I think it would work. This paper would work wonderfully with alcohol-based markers with regards to blending and the laydown. With the water-based markers, I think it's very specific paper that you need to be able to blend directly on the paper with the markers themselves. However, what I was able to do, which I'm not able to do very much on a lot of other colouring book paper, even when they're good quality books, is lay down a colour of the Tombow markers directly on the paper and then use a brush with water to pull that colour and blend it outwards. And that I was able to do on this particular paper. So that I was really happy with, because you can't do that with a lot of colouring book paper. So that is possible with the water-based markers. And then obviously you can lay down the markers direct, which I felt did not come out as streaky on this paper, possibly because it's smooth and so thick. So the paper doesn't just soak up the markers. And so because of that, it doesn't dry as quickly while you're applying it, and therefore the streakiness is less, I found. And finally obviously applying the water-based markers from a palette with a brush and water directly to the paper worked wonderful as well. So yes, I was definitely happy with how my markers worked, and then I usually tend to go over my markers anyways with pencils, and I was able to do that wonderfully as well. And I found that the results I got from doing a base of marker and then going over with my Albert Dürer pencils dry gave me a really vibrant result, which is what I love. I love the bold, vibrant colours that I can get on a colouring book page, and I was able to achieve that on this paper. When I used water to activate my watercolour pencils and also to use with the markers on the paper, I did not find that the paper pilled, and I did not find much warping at all to the paper. Now, yeah, I did not use that much water, but I used the same amount of water I would use normally in any other colouring book when I use these supplies with water, and sometimes I do get warping. So yeah, I was quite happy with how the water worked with these mediums on this particular paper. So overall, I'm actually really happy with this book. I love the illustrations, I love the fact that it's ring bound and you can lay it flat and colour nicely, and it's so sturdy that if you were someone who liked to colour in front of the TV on the sofa and you didn't have any sort of lap desks or anything and you were just colouring on your laps, I think this book would be wonderful to have to colour on because it's so sturdy. I enjoyed how my supplies worked on them, and I loved that I could use water on it without any worries that, first of all, there would be anything bleeding through. I know it's only one-sided, but I still would rather keep because I'm not an alcohol-based marker user either, I usually try to keep the flip side of my pages as clean as possible in terms of bleed through. So I liked that it didn't bleed through, and I liked that the paper didn't warp much at all. I hope you enjoy watching me colour this page. It's not really a colour along, it's just going to be a speed colouring, little snippets of me colouring parts of the illustration so that you could see how my mediums were laying down, and that what I was saying about how my mediums worked on the paper is actually what you could see. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will include a quick flip through at the end. It's not going to be in detail, you'll just get to see all the pages. It was a really hard book to flip because of how my setup is with regards to recording and how the book flips upwards. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult, so I apologize if it's not the best flip through, but you'll see all the illustrations, so that's the main thing. And like I said, there is a few flip throughs out there now that you could go and check out, some which are quite detailed about each page. So yeah, I'm sure you'll find some great flip throughs now as well. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about this book. Have you coloured any Colorya books before? What do you think of them? And what do you think of this particular theme of book? I'm really liking the pages, and I am looking forward to colouring more in this book. So yeah, I'll leave you guys, and hopefully I'll be back with you guys soon on my next video. So until then, take care, happy colouring, and bye-bye.